I did DNA tests with my 3 kids for a school project. Turns out I'm not the father of any of them, and my wife's reaction will make your blood boil. I never thought I'd be the guy telling this story. I'm Mark, 42 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. A beautiful wife of 15 years, 3 amazing kids, a house in the suburbs, and a career I'd worked my tail off to build. But one innocent decision, one simple DNA test, burned my entire world to the ground. It started with a family history project. My daughter Emma, who's 14, came home from school excited about this ancestry assignment. All her friends were doing those DNA ancestry kits, finding out they were 30% Irish or 15% Scandinavian. She begged us for weeks. Dad, please. Everyone's doing it. I want to know where we come from. I didn't think twice about it. Why would I? I ordered the kits, one for Emma, one for me, one for my wife Jennifer. Hell, I even got them for our other 2 kids, Michael, who's 12, and little Sophie, who just turned 8. It was supposed to be a fun family activity. We'd all spit in our tubes, send them off, and in a few weeks, we'd have this cool genetic breakdown to share at dinner. The results came back on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my late days at the office. I got home around 8 p.m., and Jennifer had already put Sophie to bed. Emma and Michael were in their rooms doing homework. Normal. Everything was completely normal. I logged into the Ancestry website on my laptop, excited to see the results. The first thing I noticed was weird. Under DNA relatives, there were no matches between me and Emma. I figured it was a glitch. These tests aren't perfect, right? But then I checked Michael's results. No match. Then Sophie's. No match. My hands started shaking. I clicked through the detailed reports, and that's when I saw it in black and white, 0% DNA shared. Relationship, none. I sat there staring at the screen for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. My mind was racing through every possible explanation. Lab error. Mix-up at the facility. Maybe I grabbed the wrong test tube. Anything but the obvious. Jennifer walked into the room with a glass of wine, asking what I wanted for dinner the next night. I turned the laptop toward her without saying a word. She looked at the screen. Her face didn't change. That's what I remember most, her face didn't change at all. No shock, no confusion, no panic. She just took a sip of her wine and said, "Oh. Oh." I repeated. "Oh. Jennifer, the test says I'm not related to any of our kids. Any of them." She set down her wine glass carefully, like she was thinking about how to arrange flowers. "Mark, these tests aren't always accurate. You know that. 3 separate tests, Jennifer. 3 kids. All showing 0 DNA match with me." She sighed, like I was being dramatic about a forgotten anniversary. "This is really not the time for this conversation. I have an early meeting tomorrow." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not the time? When is the time? That's when she said it. The line that's been playing in my head every single day since, "That sounds like a you problem, Mark." I sat there, completely frozen. A me problem. Finding out I might not be the biological father to any of my 3 children was a me problem. What does that mean? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She picked up her wine glass again. It means exactly what I said. I'm not doing this tonight. I have a presentation at 9 a.m. And she left. She just left the room and went upstairs. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my home office, going through every photo album, every memory, looking for signs I'd missed. Emma had always looked more like Jennifer's side of the family. Michael had my mannerisms, but Jennifer's features. Sophie, little Sophie with her blonde curls, looked like a cherub, like neither of us. How could I have been so blind? The next morning, Jennifer acted like nothing had happened. She made breakfast, asked Emma about her history test, reminded Michael about soccer practice. When the kids left for school, I confronted her again. "We need to talk about this. Now." She poured herself another cup of coffee. "What do you want me to say, Mark?" "I want you to tell me the truth. Are they mine?" She looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before, something between pity and annoyance. "Does it matter? You've been their father for years. Biology doesn't change that." "Yes, it matters." I was shouting now. "How can you be so calm about this?" "Because I've known the whole time," she said simply. The room started spinning. "You've known? You've known? For how long?" "Does it matter?" she repeated. "Who?" I demanded. "Who is the father? Is it one person or?" I couldn't even finish the sentence. She shrugged. Actually shrugged. I don't think we need to get into details. What's done is done. I felt like I was going insane. The woman I'd loved for 15 years, the woman I'd built a life with, was standing in our kitchen acting like she'd forgotten to mention a dentist appointment. I want a divorce, I said. Okay, she replied. But the kids stay with me. They're not your kids either. I shouted. Well, they are, but. Exactly, Mark. They're mine. Biologically, legally, in every way that matters. And any court will see it that way too. That's when I realized she'd already thought this through. She'd been prepared for this moment. Maybe not now, but eventually. Over the next few days, I hired a lawyer. A good one. I needed to understand my rights, my options. What he told me made everything worse. You're on all 3 birth certificates, he explained. You've acted as their father for their entire lives. Even if you're not the biological father, the court will likely consider you the legal father. You'll still be responsible for child support. But I was deceived. I protested. I understand, but legally, that's a difficult argument. You established paternity by your actions over the years. The courts prioritize the children's well-being above all else. So let me get this straight, I'd been lied to for 15 years, raised 3 children who weren't biologically mine, and I'd still have to pay for them while Jennifer got to keep the house and primary custody? There might be one angle, my lawyer said. If you can prove she committed fraud, we might be able to contest paternity. But it's an uphill battle, and it's expensive. We're talking tens of thousands in legal fees, and even then, there's no guarantee. I did the math. Between the divorce, the potential custody battle, and trying to prove paternity fraud, I was looking at burning through my entire savings. And for what? To hurt 3 kids who thought I was their dad? Emma had my last name. She called me Dad. I'd taught her to ride a bike, helped her with her math homework, walked her through her first heartbreak last year. Michael and I had season tickets to the local baseball team. Every Saturday morning, we'd go to batting practice. He wanted to be a pitcher, just like I had been in high school. Sophie still asked me to check under her bed for monsters every night. They were my kids in every way that mattered, except the one way that suddenly mattered most. I went back to Jennifer with a different approach. I need to know who the father is. The kids deserve to know their medical history. She barely looked up from her phone. They're fine. No medical issues. But what if? Mark, stop trying to play detective. It's pathetic. The word hit me like a slap. Pathetic. For wanting to know the truth. For caring. That's when I started digging on my own. I went through old emails, phone records, credit card statements. I found charges to hotels I'd never been to, restaurants across town when she'd said she was working late. The evidence had always been there. I just hadn't been looking. I found a name that appeared frequently in her old texts, Ryan. Messages from years ago, before Emma was born. Flirty messages. Then they stopped, or rather, they moved to a different platform I couldn't access. I hired a private investigator. Spent $3,000 I didn't have. What he found made everything clearer and worse at the same time. Ryan worked at Jennifer's company. They'd had an affair that started before we got married. It continued on and off for years. But here's the kicker, Ryan wasn't the only one. There were at least 2 other men over the years. The PI had photos, timestamps, hotel check-ins. My wife hadn't made one mistake. She'd lived a double life. I confronted her with everything. Laid out the photos, the evidence, all of it. She glanced at them and said, "So what? You want a medal for figuring it out? You want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry you're so hurt. But those kids upstairs? They need stability. They need their dad, and whether you like it or not, that's you. How can you be so cold about this?" I asked, genuinely baffled. Because I'm practical, Mark. I did what I needed to do. You were stable, reliable, good husband material. The others, they were exciting, passionate, fun. I got the best of both worlds. And I got nothing but lies. You got 3 beautiful children and 15 years of marriage. Some men would be grateful. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. In her mind, she'd done me a favor. The divorce proceedings started. Jennifer's lawyer argued that I'd established myself as the father, that walking away now would be child abandonment, that I was trying to punish innocent children for adult mistakes. My lawyer fought back, but every night I went home to a house that felt like a stranger's. Emma had stopped talking to me, Jennifer had told her I was going through something and needed space. Michael asked why I was sleeping in the guest room. Sophie cried herself to sleep asking if Daddy still loved her. I did still love them. That was the cruelest part. They were innocent in all of this. They didn't ask to be born from lies. But every time I looked at them, I saw Jennifer's deception. I saw 15 years of my life built on a foundation of sand. The court date is in 2 weeks. My lawyer says the judge will likely grant the divorce but maintain my parental responsibilities. I'll pay child support for 3 kids who aren't mine. I'll get visitation rights every other weekend, like I'm some stranger who gets to borrow someone else's children. Jennifer has already moved on. The PI told me she's seeing someone new. Someone younger. I wonder if she'll lie to him too, or if I was special in that regard. Last night, Sophie asked me to read her a bedtime story. She picked Guess How Much I Love You, the same book I'd read to her since she was a baby. When I got to the part where little nut brown hair says, I love you right up to the moon, she interrupted me. Daddy, do you still love me to the moon? I closed the book and held her tight. I love you to the moon and back, Sophie. Always. Because that's the truth. Biology doesn't change the fact that I've been there for every scraped knee, every school play, every goodnight kiss. But it also doesn't change the fact that my wife betrayed me in the worst possible way, and when I found out, she made it my problem. So here I am, 6 months later, trying to figure out how to be a father to children who aren't mine, how to forgive when there's no apology, and how to move forward when everything behind me was a lie. The DNA test was supposed to be a fun family activity. Instead, it showed me that the family I thought I had never existed at all. And the woman who destroyed it? She's sleeping just fine.